screen here and just waiting for YouTube to respond.
Recording has started.
Yeah, we are live on YouTube as well.
Okay, everyone, welcome to Open Hours, 96 Sports Open Hours, episode 91, sponsored by our little Lenaro pillow fell down here. Sponsored by Lenaro. There we go. Yes. Welcome. Yeah, like I said, episode 91. Today is February 15th. My name is Robert Wolf, and usually we have some stuff prepared for you. Now, this episode we don't. I have someone coming. I'm out of focus here. Ran out of coffee earlier today, so I don't have any coffee. Someone's going to go pick some up for me. My girlfriend's going to go pick up a coffee from McDonald's, so she'll be handing something to me in just a second. Either way, what I wanted to talk about was one, Lenaro Connect coming up in Hong Kong next month, very soon. Two, ELC, Embedded Linux Conference, coming up also next month, early. And then four, engineering update from our 96 boards engineers. So that should be exciting. We have Sahaj and Mani both on the line. And then five, maybe Daniel Thompson can give us an update on the forums. Six, of course, anyone who wants to just kind of talk, hang out, give us any sort of questions on 96 boards. If you want to share some of the stuff you're working on, please feel free to speak up and just kind of, join the conversation. So I guess first things first, let me just share the link here because I'm going to be mentioning this every week. And I'm going to try leaving pauses when I talk, so if anyone wants to interrupt me. But Lenaro Connect, it's connect.lenaro.org. And this is going to be happening next month on March 19th through March 23rd. That's a Monday through a Friday. It's a big conference that Lenaro hosts 2 times a year. And this particular time, it is going to be in Hong Kong. So if anyone is in Hong Kong or anyone is in the area, or anyone would like to just fly out there and hang out with a bunch of, ARM developers, people who are doing a bunch of really cool stuff in Lenaro and 96 boards, feel free to let us know. Maybe we can even try to find a discount. It's possible, who knows? But let us know, and we'd love to have you join us at the conference. Also, you'll find a lot of resources there for live feeds on all of the different sessions and keynotes that we do. Great. So I guess now it's time for a update from Sahaj and Mani. Who wants to go first?
All right.
Sahaj? Okay.
Yeah, I'll go. So mostly last week was the Carbon Rover Part 2, more or less. And that's basically getting the new pixels to interface with the Carbon Rover in such a way that they reflect the amount of distance that is in front of the object, in front of the ultrasonic sensors which are all around the Carbon Rover. So that looks really pretty, but also most of my time went into rewiring the whole thing. And I've got these really flexible single core wires. So now there's a bunch of wires, but it's very neatly cable managed inside the kind of the chassis. So that was one thing. And if shared the Robert just shared the link to the
Yeah.
and
Also,
yeah.
I just wanted to say, like, we did an episode not too long ago where Sahaj kind of showed off a little bit of the Carbon Rover, but you've been posting some videos lately too, haven't you?
Yes. The Carbon Rover video itself is in the blog, and then we have started to get some videos on guides based around 96 boards out as well. So if you want to go ahead and take a look at that, I'll have it linked in a bit. Apart from that, there has been some development. I think Mani would sort of elaborate on this. The high keyboards now boot from SD card, and we're working on a proper guide on how to do that. Should be in a day or two. I have one right in front of me. The Debian builds have started to go on again. So I have kernel 4.15 running on Debian stretch on the high key. and I soon plan to use the high keyboard as a secondary work desk computer kind of a thing to just compile code for Arduino and Zephyr.
Yeah, actually, I would like kind of to hear this from Mani, or maybe Daniel knows as well, but I heard two things. One, the high key, the regular high key, the 620, is now able to boot from SD card. Two, the high key 960 has a Debian image now.
So the Debian image, as far as I know, is common, and I think both of them boots from SD. I probably Mani should answer that.
Yeah, so both Hikey as well as Hikey 960 boots from SD now. So we got the UEFI fixed.
The UEFI is fixed. You got a very muffled microphone there. Maybe it's like too close to your mouth. Mani.
Just a sec.
Try putting the Debian ISO onto an SD card, because so much of Hikey 620 is upstream. If we can boot from an ISO, we might actually be able to run the installer.
Well, yeah. So I mean, that's the idea. I believe you can just throw the Debian image onto an SD card and boot from it.
I don't mean the Debian images that we produce. I mean Debian. The main reason I've been a bit disinterested in Debian on the Hikey is because I'd really like to see it done properly. Meaning, you just take a Debian ISO from Debian.org and you whack it onto something like an SD card and you boot it. That's kind of the holy grail for nice install. And we haven't done it for a long time. But the Hikey 620, the old Hikey, has got enough upstreams now that could work if we had enough features in UEFI. The missing piece now isn't Debian anymore. The missing piece is now that UEFI isn't ready.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but yeah, as you said, that feature is not yet available in now Hikey builds. But one of the coolest things which they have merged is that now you can actually flash the rootfs image onto any partition, and it will actually pick it up automatically based on the UUIDs. So that's a cool thing, because on Hikey 960 we have actually two partitions. One is system as well as user data. So based on the AOSP partition layout. So usually system is used for flashing the rootfs images, but that's very constrained. It's only 4 gig or 5 gig, I guess. But the user data partition is almost 25 gig. So if you want to use user data as your rootfs partition, just flash your rootfs image onto that partition, and then the boot image will just pick it up, and then it will boot it from user data.
Well, there you go. So hopefully, what we'll see is in the next few weeks or month or so, maybe we'll get some of this stuff tested, and get a chance to write a blog about it or something. I just noticed Mad Dog's in the call. I haven't seen you forever. Been a while.
Yes, I'm here. Yes.
Are you back from Brazil?
I'm back from Brazil, and I'll be here for a while. I'm looking forward to going to Connect in Hong Kong. I'm going to be doing some more stuff down in Brazil. The Caninas Lucas project, which is a project to try and create small computers down in Brazil, manufacture them in Brazil, and make them available to other places in Latin America. And I'm sorry, Robert, coffee from McDonald's is not coffee. Okay. But in any case,
see,
that
I put it in an actual mug, so you would have never have known.
I can smell McDonald's coffee from here. Okay. But the thing is that the project's going along very well, and hopefully we will be manufacturing these computers inside of Brazil in the next month or so. My long-term goal, however, is to migrate the computers over to 96 boards architecture, so that we would be able to use a lot of the platforms and stuff that you guys have been developing and working on. For historical reasons, that wasn't available to us in the first round of processors, but over time, I want to do that. So it's an interesting project, sometimes frustrating.
Right now, you guys are building the guitars, right? The LeMaker guitars.
We're actually building 3 systems. One system is called the Flea. It's a tiny little sensor computing system. It runs off of batteries for years. The second system is based around the guitar, yes, and uses a chord card, which what I would like to do is to work that into the 96 board's layout so that people who develop the daughter cards to plug in to the 96 boards would be able to plug them in, and then hopefully with a different set of device drivers be able to go with those boards. We're very dedicated to ARM technology, mostly because of the openness of it and the philosophy of ARM to have multiple vendors to do multiple things, multiple boards. So Professor Zufo is very, very dedicated to that type of philosophy and openness.
Do you know if Professor Zufo will be at Linaro Connect in Hong Kong?
He's planning on that, but with Professor Zufo, I have always noticed that it's somehow it's difficult to pin him down. But he's the last I knew, he is planning on being at the Connect in Hong Kong. Yes. I don't know whether he's going to show up there at the first few days or the last few days. I don't know. He's got a lot of other trips planned in that same time frame.
Awesome. And will you be at ELC? Will anyone on the call be at ELC, by the way? Is anyone going in Oregon? There's a Embedded Linux conference in Oregon in March next month.
I wasn't planning on it. I've got so much stuff going on. I just can't.
Yeah. All right. Well, that one should be fun. There's definitely going to be a bunch of a bunch of people from Linaro, Open Source Foundries, and Rajan, are you going to be there?
Yeah, I'm going to be here.
Oh, okay, cool.
I think we're going
nice.
together.
That should be. Well, I don't know. Are you on my flight?
Probably not on the flight, but yeah, it's around the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. I told Christine about my flight. My flight leaves at like 6:30 a.m. She was like, I don't know if Rajan would like it if I put him on that airplane.
Yeah, I think mine is in the afternoon. So. Yeah.
So I guess, right now I kind of want to go down the list here and see if anyone else has stuff to talk about because I'd like to hear some new topics. One, I see Barry. I'm guessing this is the Barry that I'm familiar with here from the UK, maybe. Either way, there was some really cool stuff that Barry's been working on or that has worked on in the past, and I'm kind of wondering if you have any updates on like the micro-mez or anything like that you've been going at. Maybe he unmutes. No. All right, we can come back to Barry, and then Carl, who was on our show last week. I don't know if anyone joined with questions for Carl from last week, but I did share the blog that I posted right afterwards, and that has the video as well as the chat log. Yeah, and then I will be posting your blog hopefully after this show from last week onto 96 boards, so that should be another good one. But
awesome.
Carl,
Thanks.
I don't know. You maybe you want to talk about Works on ARM real quick, that other broadcast that you and Ed do.
Sure. Yeah. So I can't remember Ed's last name off the top of my head. He works for Packet, and they have an initiative that they are running called Works on ARM. They have two video conferences on Wednesday, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. You do not have to attend both. The morning one is basically designed more for folks who are in the Europe/Asia, East Asia time zone, and then the afternoon one is basically more for folks who are on the Pacific side of the world. It's mostly just we don't record it. It is mostly just a discussion of what's going on, what's interesting. Ed is the manager of all the ARM stuff at Packet, and so he tends to have a lot of interesting news to discuss with folks. And then beyond that, you can find us either as Robert just posted on the IRC channel, Works on ARM. Also, you can join the Packet community Slack, and there's a Works on ARM channel in there. The two are linked together, so communications in one shows up in the other, whichever is more convenient for you. So there you go.
Yeah, and we did that yesterday, and it was a lot of fun right up until the entire system crashed, right?
Yes.
That wasn't just me.
That was not just you. Apparently, Jitsi just imploded about 10 minutes into our call. So yeah, we switched to a different thing, which didn't go well, but we're working on it. We used to do stuff on Zoom, but it turns out there's actually a lot of BSD people on the Works on ARM call, and Zoom does not work well on BSD, which is why we've been trying these clientless things and haven't been having a lot of luck. So we're working through it. It's an evolving thing, but we always post where we're going to meet, either in the Slack channel or the IRC channel before the meeting. So there you go.
Oh, nice. Okay, so it's not always on that talkie. That's good to, because I just posted the link to the Works on ARM talkie.io, and that was where we were on yesterday that crashed. I mean, it was working fine up until then.
Yes, and then Talkie's entire backend. Talkie's apparently a Packet customer, and we pinged one of their engineers, and they're like, "Yeah, we're apparently experiencing a site-wide outage. We'll get back to you." And then we didn't hear from them for the rest of the day, so it was apparently bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We're gonna try and stick with Talkie because several of the BSD people have gotten Talkie to work without too much of a problem. I find it's one of those. For some people, it works great in Firefox. For other people, it works great in Chrome. It just depends on what your computer configuration is. It does not like it if you change your audio mid-conference. That makes it very angry. Beyond that, yeah.
We were getting into some pretty good discussions about Fedora and how some of the stuff is booting on, or how you've been getting a lot of stuff to work on a lot of the Packet hardware.
Yeah, so apparently last week they were able to get Fedora 27 to boot on the Cavium ThunderX 2, which I believe the Cavium ThunderX 2 is what drives the A0 instances at Packet. So you can go hop on Packet.net. You can rent an A0 instance. It's cloud-like pricing, so it's like a couple cents an hour. About the same price as the lowest end, like i3, I think is their bottom of the range on the x86 side, and that now supports Fedora. There was some things that had to be worked out with how it boots UEFI on the back end, but apparently that has been solved. And then next stop, Fedora 27.
No, Fedora 28. Fedora 28.
Oh, 28. Excuse me. Yes. Well,
yeah.
The next one.
one after another. Yeah, that's actually really cool. I mean, so Fedora, one of our guys from Red Hat, one of our partners from Red Hat, has been doing a lot of work with 96 boards, and I mean, I'm seeing. I can only imagine he's most likely, because when I brought up his name, Peter Robinson, he's been on the call before. Ed knew him right off the bat. It's like, oh yeah, he must be the one that's also porting over there. But when you look at his desk, I think he has like a bunch of 96 boards, a bunch of other boards, probably working on your guys' stuff. He's got to be going crazy.
Yeah. He's. I think he's like the Fedora / Enterprise Linux ecosystem ARM guy.
Yeah. He does all the ARM stuff. Like he manages everything on Fedora.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, I'm gonna keep going down the list here and calling on more people, unless someone just speaks up. So Dale, you're up next, Dale. What you got to share with us, if anything, or nothing? Do a 5-second countdown.
Has anyone used?
I got it.
BSD as a.
Oh, Dale.
Yeah, I'm just saying I'm enjoying the Coursera class that you guys put together. A shout out to your team there. It's been really fun and well done so far. So appreciate that.
Did you try did you go to the new course yet? Or were you still doing the older ones?
I did the older ones, just audited those, and then the new one I registered so I could take all the exams and do all of the things, and I'm enjoying it because everything seems to be working.
That's good.
And the websites look like they do in your videos. After a few months, the websites don't necessarily look like the videos, and it takes more time navigating the websites than it does actually learning the material. So this is new to me, a lot of the ARM stuff and the things you guys are talking about. So it's fun to learn, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah, and Dale, you know, like one of the big things we really want to change about this is that if you run into problems or something that you think should be changed, you know, please bring it up to us, because we're going to have 3 students basically staffed, I think 20 hours a week each, to create new content and manage old content. So they're still going to be pushing out revamps for course 4, course 5, and course 6, and possibly even adding in more courses. So they have this whole entire year they're going to continue working on that course, or that whole specialization, I should say. So please, you know, we appreciate your feedback, and thank you for the positive feedback. But if any negative feedback comes up, you know, help us be constructive on it, and we would really appreciate that.
Robert, this is Ivan. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Ivan?
Yes. So
hey,
yeah,
what's up, Ivan?
Hi. I have a comment about the course too. It's a great course. There are a couple of things that I found a little weird. When you do the quizzes, sometimes I don't know how Coursera allows it. For example, you have 8,000, right? The number 8,000, and you know, like maybe instinctively use the comma, right? But it accepts 8,000. It doesn't, and it's very rigid. Or actually, in this case, instead of 8,000, it accepts 8 because it has in kilohertz, right? So I think you know, it shouldn't be like that. You know, the quizzes shouldn't try to trick you. It should just verify that you know it. So you type 8,000, 8,000, 8 kilohertz. It should all work.
I mean, that makes sense. And so I don't think that's the thing is, I don't think that we're trying to trick you. It might be like an accident that we're trying to trick you, but we're not. The professor did make it a point. I think you're talking about course 1, right?
Well, it's across the board. I just picked one of them, but you know, I you know, failed many times, and I'm looking. Okay, that's the answer. So what's
yeah?
It's very quickly.
I will have the students look at that for sure.
I don't know if it's a possibility if you can do like multiple possible good answers. I don't know how the other platform is, but that was a bit of a sample that I practiced.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of it comes down to the Coursera kind of platform, like what they allow, right? Because we don't have much control over a lot of the platform itself, but we can change the questions to be more, you know.
Exactly. So for example, in this case, except the answer should be in kilohertz. You know, something like very clear. You know, like when you have a password and you know we do not accept special characters or commas or dashes, something like that. You know, just so it should pass your knowledge and shouldn't be a trick.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I mean, I think right now the students are in midterms. They're in midterms right now, but next week when we have our meeting, I will definitely have them on top of that, so we can start getting some of these questions changed. So hopefully start to see some stuff flow out. Cool, thank you, Ivan. Appreciate that. So next on the list is Daniel Thompson, and I always like to pick on Daniel for forum stuff. But has anything interesting popped up in the forum lately? Because Daniel does manage them.
And I think the thing I'd really like to talk about is community. I'll say Robert's our community manager in case anybody wonders, but so we're starting to see more and more on the forum that it's not exclusively 96 boards or Linaro stuff answering questions. John Mark has been a hero for a long time, but we're now seeing we've probably got a handful of people who are getting heavily involved in chatting and helping people build things and answer questions without us having to do everything, which is good because I can't see my camera, but the post count is kind of climbing, month by month. The community is getting bigger all the time, and the staff behind it don't grow with the community because there's not much of a trail of money. In terms of, we don't get more money. We get a tiny bit more money for each board, but by and large, it's not enough to up the staffing. So we're seeing the community grow. We're seeing more people get involved and help people, and so I'm kind of interested to see how we can work on the forum to make things better. And one thing that's currently it was actually raised by Manny, which is we can turn on a feature on the forum that allows you to mark posts as solved, which is a blessing and a curse in a way, because it makes it a bit more like Stack Overflow. And Stack Overflow, it's quite hard to community build on Stack Overflow because there's no chatting to happen. And so I think the next step for the forum that I'd like to see is people chatting about what they're doing, a bit of show and tell, people actually talking off topic, not coming up there because they need technical support, talking about what they're making. We're not quite ready there. So I started a thread experimentally to see if people would bite to chat about automotive 96 boards. And yeah, that's got just me. There's nobody else posted on that one yet. So I don't think we're quite yet having a big enough community to sustain off-topic conversations very much. But that's what I'd like to get to, I think. I've been involved in forums with guitars and things like that where people just show up to talk about them because they're so excited by it.
That was kind of a goal. That was a goal back when we did. So we made an open hours kind of themed topic area where you can go post threads under open hours, and that was kind of the goal of creating that open hours spot. But I feel that you're right, Daniel. We need to start kind of bridging into that type of communication on the forums, because IRC
you have to have a certain number of people. If you haven't got a big enough community, it can't sustain. There's no point in us killing ourselves trying to make it happen. But I think it's quite exciting that we've now seen some very long threads between Do It Right and somebody else, where they're helping each other. I think help is mostly from Do It Right, but there's a shared building happening without us being involved, and that's quite exciting to see. And if the community grows a bit more, I think we will be ready to, because there's lots of places on the net you can go and indulge your technophilia. So whether 96 boards is the right place to do that, it's always a very difficult question. It depends what you're going to build, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, we are growing enough. It's definitely filling out in a way that I haven't seen before. Over the last 3 months, we're seeing more people come up there to listen and to chat and to help people. And that's just
I think, I feel like a lot of times I'm to blame in some of these things. I'm sure that all of us have some blame at some point. I'm talking Lenaro 96 boards internal, but people email me with questions, right? And instead of forwarding them to the forum, I maybe CC someone in, and then the question gets answered on an email and it never makes it to the forum. You know what I mean? So like things like that, I feel I want to start kind of cracking down a little bit on that, because I definitely see that happening more than one time a week, where questions just get answered on an internal thread rather than in the forum.
There's value in that as well. I mean, you will notice that when somebody can't attract an answer on the forum because their question is not an easy one to answer, they'll quite often escalate, and when they choose to escalate, that's a sign that they need more help. So there's swings and roundabouts on it.
It's true. Cool. Well, that's good to hear. I mean, we'll definitely keep working at that. I mean, I've been wanting to kind of engage more with places like Hackster.io, Hackaday, trying to get kind of like a bridge between 96 boards and them, because we did do the hack chat with them. I attended the super conference. I feel that there's nothing on, Hackaday is like similar to like a big social network for makers and tinkerers. I want to say professional makers. Let's call them professional makers. And you go search 96 boards on there, and there's not really any projects published there on 96 boards. I feel like that's kind of lacking, and if more projects started getting posted there, people would start to try to recreate them or play with them, and then it would transition slowly into our
I've
little closed
noticed
network.
more of my Hackaday has contributed to my education. Let's put it like that. It's a good site. They're more and more posting self-links now, though. So the major features that I've seen on Hackaday point to people who've registered the project with them. So it's not pointing out to external blogs in the way it used to. It's almost always pointing to project summaries that people have actually put as a fixed page on Hackaday.
Yeah, but if you post a fixed page on Hackaday, you can link out from it. So,
Yeah.
so I mean, like, you can link out to your resources. So if you post a project, like, say, like, Sahaj's carbon rover, if Sahaj advertised his carbon rover through Hackaday, then he could bridge out to the projects org, he could bridge out to OpenHours, he could bridge out to, we're getting like to this like community discussion, but I mean, that's a strong way to kind of grow people who are willing to engage with 96 boards, because we don't know who at Hackaday has a 96 board sitting on their desk waiting for something to pop up, because that's kind of their preferred network to play around on, some people don't have time to follow a bunch of different places like Instructables, Hackaday, and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't know.
The other aspect of kind of personal interest I've been pursuing recently is trying to kind of get a feel as to which 96 board is really going to be best to put in a car. I'm sure people have built car computers before with them. I'm probably going to pick on the Dragon board just because the software support is so good, I have to say.
So are you seeing to control a car or just as a IVI?
This is IVI. Basically, if you've got a single DIN slot, nothing really gives you a good interface to play MP3s. So they're all the classic two-line Panasonic, classic little two-line displays at the bottom. It's really hard to navigate through and find what you want to play, despite the fact that even with a single DIN, you've got enough space for a sort of 2 1/8 inch screen. So that's what's got me. So I don't know if I'll have time to finish it, I'll be brutally honest. But the first problem is even figuring out how to power the things, because 96 boards are actually slightly beguiling. Because they can accept 12-volt input, there's this temptation to connect them directly to the loom, which is a terrible, terrible, terrible idea. Because the electrical environment in a car is really hostile. I've been reading about it. It's properly nasty. You've got kind of minus 60 volts or so when you turn the windscreen wipers off, can fly backwards into the stereo and things like that. So when you're taking a 5-volt system, then that protection against the hostile electrical environment is done inside the 5-volt transformer. If you take the 12 volts off your lighter socket and put it directly into a 96 boards, it might have a fairly limited lifespan. So the first thing I've been looking into is how I can tidy up the electricity before I feed it in, which is quite interesting. But it does make it a difficult place to start, to have to start right at the beginning of the project working out how to get electricity in.
The last time I was looking at doing a carputer thing, kind of in the same boat, but I was also in the situation. This is a little better on the 96 boards ecosystem of like, you want the board to boot and kind of fall asleep as opposed to power off. So you need to have some sort of battery pack there as well so that it can sit there and go, the power's on, the power's off. That'll help smooth out some of those bumps. But yeah, you do need like a 12 to 12 DC converter in there with a big old capacitor to deal with all of the influx current and all of that fun stuff. And trying to go down that road, I got a bit discouraged and kind of gave up. I don't know how all of these people are just like throwing mini ITX boards in their cars and being like, it's fine. I'm just like, yeah, but yeah.
Well, I do have the advantage that I get quite a lot of 96 boards for free. So I'm planning to try and blag one, and if it blows up, I shall improve my power supply circuitry.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, I'll tell you something. I mean, but the thing is, wait, okay, are you powering the Dragon board just through the barrel jack, or are you trying to power it through the header?
I will probably end up using the barrel. At the moment, I haven't built the power supply yet, because actually, as Carl mentioned, the other curious property of the DB14 is you can't turn it off. If you turn them off, they turn right back on again. So that has to be, in addition to the power cleaning, there needs to be a relay that you can activate with the GPIO so that you can force it to stay on, and then the DB410C can choose to turn itself off.
Is there anything you can do to stop it from rebooting like that? Like, is there a software piece that you can throw in there?
It's funny you should say that. So somebody on the forum, I have no idea if they've joined the call, I shouldn't think so, it has found this is a problem with the Android one, and they've observed there's a bit they can set in the shutdown routines that makes it appear to turn off. Whether it's actually turned off or not, I don't know, but it's appearing to turn off. So I was always told this couldn't be done. So to see somebody on the
like it was a hardware thing
is both impressive and does run the risk that it's not actually gone into the low power state they think it has. But
yeah, we should try to create a guide for that, Mani Sahaj. We should try to add a guide like for something like that. Also, who's familiar? I mean, granted, I could probably just search on Google and find it fairly quickly. But off the top of your head, if someone knows, who's familiar with the file that you have to change running Debian, let's just say on the Dragon board, to execute at the end of your boot sequence? Like, so if I want to execute
etc/rc.local.
Oh, okay. So you know it like right offhand. Okay, good. Because I'm gonna ping you on that because I have some scripts that I want my board to run like right after boot, and I don't want to have to like put my screen on. I just want it to run when I plug it in.
If I'd read the systemd blogs, because the most correct thing to do is to create a systemd service, and it's actually a lot easier to use.
I think when they shifted from the init D to systemd, they kept the rc.local as sort of a backport, but other operating systems like Fedora or anyone else don't really use rc.local. It's only Debian, they have just kept it there. And it works.
Debian did a great job of basically not putting a stake in the let's fix init field. So everything goes back to original init.rc scripts or sys5 init.rc scripts. And then they just have systemd units that parse all that stuff out correctly. So everything that used to work still continues to work, unlike in other operating systems that have made the switch to systemd.
That was a time of some interesting discussions when everyone was moving to systemd.
I don't know if I want to start the systemd wars, but if anybody wants to see how the unit works, like I say, it's a three-line stanza to create the systemd one-off service that you want. And I actually put it in my blog when I was doing some Dragonboard stuff a year and a half ago. Then it was running a specific nmap command to work around a nasty bug, but now you can run anything you like from it. I should probably update that blog post because it's completely obsolete now. You don't need to do any of that. So don't anybody think that you have to run this awful workaround. That has long since been fixed.
Yeah, I'd say like, I mean, how long ago did you write that blog? It's probably way buried down super deep.
October 28th, 2015.
Okay, yeah. So like when 96 boards came into existence.
Means we've been doing this a long time now.
Yeah. Cool. Yes, I just shared a link here. I'm going to keep going down the list, but I just want to let everyone know about this because this is something that's, I mean, it's like super exciting for me. It's one of my passions. I will be talking about this more throughout the months, but there's an org that I launched called OS Academics on GitHub. And it's fairly bare right now, okay? You have 4 repositories, a home repository, workshop, training, and university. Now, on the home repository, that's where you'll pretty much land, but you'll find that this this org is going to serve kind of as a digital file cabinet for all of those who are interested. And I'm keeping a lot of, this is a big surprise, okay? I'm keeping a lot of this stuff on my local computer right now. So when it's all ready, I'll be pushing it all up for the alpha release in March. But the one thing that I did make available is the roadmap. So if you went to the home repo and you clicked on the dynamic roadmap, you should be presented with a very nicely colored Gantt chart. And you can't change the week, but I can. And if you go and if I change the week, it's the roadmap goes all the way out until the soft launch, which should be next year, right? But we'll be having several events around this repository, this org. essentially, we plan on getting, I've already been talking with people from all different spaces on this, okay? We're talking about people who are working in computer science, computer engineering, electrical engineering, people who are cryptocurrency gurus, people who have launched ICOs, people who are working in pretty much every avenue of tech. Now, this be it on a university level or on a, say, training / workshop level. And that's why I've labeled the 3 different repositories in there. Now, once the templates go in there and they start, this repository starts to get populated, there's going to be opportunities for you to go in there and just learn stuff or teach stuff. So that's kind of the goal of this whole org, is that if you want to teach or you want to learn, everything that you need will be inside of this repository or inside of this org. So it will start making more sense as I start releasing the content in there. But if you have any questions, you can feel free to file issues in there. But most of the things won't be released until September of this year. You'll get a good glimpse of it in March of this year. We're going to hopefully launch with 3 industry partners and 3 university partners. So I'm calling it the Infinity Committee, because we're going to have two committees that kind of meet at the center. So it's a new concept of mine. We'll see how it works. But
if you looked at the other way up, it would be 8 committees, and that'd be really confusing when there's only 2 of them.
Wait, eight committees? How do you? Oh, for each repo?
If you turned it around 90 degrees, looked at your infinity the other way up, you'd read it as an 8, and that'd be really confusing.
Oh yeah. The Infinity Committee. Yeah, so there'll be an industry committee and a university committee, okay? And then the OSA serves as kind of like the bridge between these 2 committees. Hopefully at some point, I don't want to say like it's an open source project and it's more of a help the world type project, but money will hopefully exchange hands, incentives for the universities to participate, incentives for teachers, incentives for industry. There'll be incentives all around for people to participate. And I've already gotten a lot of really good feedback on this. Yeah, the repo, it's not really a repo. There's multiple repos. It's an org, and the org is called OSA, Open Source Academics. And don't try buying the domain. I already did. But you could also go to Facebook. There's a Facebook group that OS Academics as well. Feel free to join the Facebook group. Again, this is it's not secretive, but I just haven't published much of the content yet. It's something that I've been really taking my time on. Great. So next on the list, that was my little rant there. Who do I got here? David from Mini Nodes. If you have time to speak up, if not, no big deal.
Yeah. Well, can you actually hear me?
I can. How are you, David?
I'm doing well. I am keeping busy. I wasn't sure if my microphone was working, so I apologize, but I'm glad to hear. All right. So I actually have a question. Are you guys, I don't know where I heard this previously, but are you guys exploring an SODIMM form factor for 96 boards?
So I want to say that the next form factors that we are exploring are going to be SOM based, and this has already been semi-announced.
Yeah.
That's the closest I can get to kind of what I think I'm allowed to share. There's going to be 2.
Problem. So, yeah, I wasn't sure. I know that I saw it somewhere in a public mention. It was okay. So it was a SOM or COM or something of that nature.
Yeah, I can share that.
Across it. I can't recall where. It was like it was an invitation to contribute to
I'll send it right now.
Generating the specification or something like that, I believe.
Yeah, I'll share it right now with you. This was a Meltdown, year-end review, CTO, ARM ecosystem. It was on the Lenaro, blog.
Yeah, I've got it.
Section.
I've got it.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Also, and David, if you are interested in this contribution, it's not a very convoluted process. Just drop me an email, and then I just make sure that it's okay, and I can share the current specs with you. But if you are interested in truly contributing, because our steering committee were the people who actually formed this original spec, but then our steering committee also wants input from the community. So this is you're more than welcome to offer your. It's not public though.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't. I mean, I certainly understand the sensitivity of it. I know that I had seen somewhere that there was a some sort of a public announcement of a specification was being generated. So, and then the reason for my question was I'd started to see more and more people building, Docker Swarm clusters and Kubernetes clusters with some of the Raspberry Pis and other boards, Pine 64 boards, and so on and so forth. And I thought, well, there's nothing preventing 96 boards from not participating or generating some kind of build system there. So just wanted to see where that was at. But secondly, to rewind the conversation a little bit, you guys were discussing sort of getting involved a bit more with the Hackster IO or Hackaday crowd. And I recently met an interesting gentleman from ARM who is in charge of the ARM Innovators Program. His name is Rex St. John. You might have seen him around on Twitter.
Oh, I know him. I met him at Connect in San Francisco.
Oh, okay. Awesome. So Rex runs that Innovator Program. Part of that Innovator Program, of course, contains a little bit of marketing and media presence. But part of that program is a sit-down interview with, I can't recall her name, but one of the girls from, I believe, Hackster IO.
Is it Alex? Is it Alex?
Yeah, it is Alex. Alex, that's.
I follow her. I really like her. Yeah, I'm a fan of hers.
So, again, totally up to you guys and how you guys pursue that, but just wanted to throw that out there of that connection via ARM does already exist. You might just want to leverage that.
Okay. I opened his Twitter. We follow each other. So yeah, I met him at Connect, and he had a lot of very kind things to say about 96 boards. And so he was also a really cool dude. I will definitely message him and see what we can manage there.
He is a really cool dude. He's helping me out with some stuff. To be perfectly honest, I mean, if you already know him, awesome, go for it. Otherwise, if you want, I can definitely do via email a soft introduction to reconnect the two of you, because I'm in contact with him pretty regularly. But either way, I was just thinking about it as you guys were talking. I was like, he already has an inroad to that community, and his background was on some of the small Intel modules like the Joule. So he had some 96 boards background already. I forget which, or was it the Curie?
I think it was the Curie.
Yeah, because I know that there's a 96 boards with, or at least 96 boards footprint, but has one of those Intel small SoCs on it, right? Who was the manufacturer of that? I can't remember.
Gumsticks.
Yeah, that's right.
It was Gumsticks. Yeah, Gumsticks had the Radium and the Madonna, but since Intel kind of annexed their whole line,
they killed the project. They killed the program. So
yeah.
So that's what his background was in previously. Has some knowledge already of 96 and has some of that maker and hobbyist community already engaged.
Yeah. So real quick, David, I want to just say one thing about you, if you don't mind.
Yes, sure.
I shared a link in the chat here, but we did an open hours episode with David from Mini Nodes. And for those of you who don't know Mini Nodes, you should check it out on Twitter at Mini Nodes. I believe that's what it is. It's at Mini Nodes.
Yep.
And they are hosting ARM-based mini servers that you can rent out, right? And this is your Poplar right here, by the way, David, that I'll be sending out today or tomorrow.
Oh, that's awesome.
I won't break it yet, but David promised to take one of our Poplars, 96 Boards Poplars, and write us a little blog. So we're gonna see what kind of cool stuff he can do at Mini Nodes with the Poplar. That would be interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And as far as I know, yeah, it'll be fun. And as far as I know, Sahaj has proven various things work now that didn't previously work, like not even a month ago. So there's some cool stuff that's been going on around it.
I saw the post on the PCI. Well, now that it's working, so yeah, that opens up a lot of opportunities there. So that's what got me excited about it, was once the PCI slot came alive.
Yeah.
A lot of doors open with that.
Absolutely. So yeah, I'll be sending that out hopefully either later today, probably tomorrow though, because I'm most likely
no
busy
rush.
today, but
yeah,
we'll get it out
awesome.
to you. I'm one state away, so it'll probably be like overnighted, you know.
yeah, you're close. No big deal. Thank you very much for it.
Of course. No, thank you. Cool. So thanks, David. I'm gonna keep going down the list here. We got
awesome.
A few more minutes left.
I actually have a quick follow-up on the SOM thing. Is there also going to be a specification for the carrier boards, or is that part of the SOM spec?
Okay, yeah. So I guess since we were on the topic, I'll talk about it for a second. So
yeah, and I'm sorry.
And if you can't talk about it, like we can discuss offline or something. It's not a big deal.
No, of course I can talk about it to a certain extent, right? Because there's still things that even I don't know yet. I know that there will be announcements in Hong Kong. So definitely keep your eyes on the Lenaro Connect site. I'm sure they'll be talking about stuff like this. But based on what I know is that there are two specifications that are going to be released around the system on module or system on compute. And the two specifications that we've talked about so far are the wireless specification and the compute specification. So that's those are the two that I believe have been both kind of, I think they've reached like version 0.0 or 0.3 or 0.4, right? So they're still working their way up until the version 1 release, but it's already gone through our entire steering committee. And for those of you who don't know, 96 Boards has the biggest steering committee in all of Lenaro. So you're talking like industry partners that go like 30 plus industry partners that all get their, feet wet on this spec. From chip makers to manufacturers to distributors, like all down the line to software companies. And so now that all went through that process, then we bring it to the community, and it's kind of on a request, like the news article says, type viewing permissions. So we don't we just send you a PDF. If you are very interested and you feel that you can contribute to the spec in a positive way, constructive criticism is also welcome, positive contributions, then of course we'd love to get it out to you. And if you do want to, if you are interested, you can send me an email. Actually, I think there's an email in the news article that you should send it to. Let me see. Not me.
There's 96boards@lenaro.org.
There you go. Yeah. So send an email to 96boards@lenaro.org and state the request. and my director or someone with maybe some form of legal power might message you back. I'm not sure, or they might just have me message you back. I've granted access to I think 2 people so far, with permission, of course. So that's kind of the process.
Cool.
I don't know if Daniel's heard anything else.
I don't think we have to be totally cagey about it. If you look at the current CE spec, the processor board has a comparatively tight requirement, you know, the height limits and things like that on it. And the mezzanine that goes on the top is actually much more relaxed. The mezzanine can be odd sizes, it can be funny shapes, it can disappear off the side of the board and have a massive heatsink disappearing off through the floor. And I would expect that any SOM-based system will have the same property because it's intrinsic to the domain. So there are likely to be some quite tight constraints on the baseboard, so that the carrier board has a degree of flexibility. That's the one that can conform to an industrial design, can fit into the bottom whatever you're building and things like that. And I think that's intrinsic to the space. I don't think it would be unique to 96 boards that the flexibility is all given to the carrier board. I think that's the only way a SOM can be successful is if the SOM itself is tightly controlled so that you've got the capacity to innovate in the base frame.
Yeah, and I think that's actually a fact. Like that's what they've been talking about. So the baseboard, it's Wild West. You know, like what Daniel said is that if the SOM itself is specified correctly and built correctly, then the baseboard, anyone who builds a baseboard should work. The one thing I will say will probably happen. Sorry, go ahead.
I was about to say, Wild West is perhaps a little overzealous. You know, you have to conform to the physical dimensions of the thing you're trying to plug into. But once you've moved outside the space defined for the SOM to occupy, then you're free.
I guess more so my point of the Wild West was just that anyone can build it. You know, like anyone can just build a baseboard as long as you follow the specs. But like the same thing as what we did with the mezzanine. We didn't release a spec for the mezzanine. We released a guidelines doc to kind of assist people in building baseboards, right? So it's not a requirement, but it should help you. And I mean, I would hope that 96 boards, I hope that we would end up releasing some sort of baseboard guidelines that might be helpful, but no requirements. Yeah, so hopefully that helped.
It does. Thanks. I will reach out because I have thoughts.
There you go. Cool.
And use cases. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited for this one. I mean, the thing is that 96 boards for a long time, and if I remember all the times I've said this, is 96 boards is your ultimate path to product, right? Like, you know, use this board and develop your product because you can go buy the SoCs or a SOM, right? Well, there was still this gap, right, where you would develop on 96 boards, you would develop on this standardized consumer edition board. There's been a lot of success stories for people developing. And then what's the next step? Well, you know, go buy an entirely different board from an entirely different company like Intrinsic or Inforce and get the SOM going, and then, you know, then continue to development path, work with this company or this company. Well, we're kind of trying to bridge that gap by offering this SOM board, and hopefully if things work properly, I mean, like, these SOMs should be capable to be used in products like that's my hopes. Now, is that what's going to happen? I don't know, but you would hope that these SOMs, you know, like you develop on the 410 Dragon board, right? You have these ports, and then, you know, you say, okay, now I'm going to the next step. I'm going to go get the 410 SOM and plug it and reduce some of my pieces and build this baseboard. And then, okay, everything works good. Okay, cool. Build my product with the SOM all in it. So like that, the path gets shorter and shorter, or not shorter, but just more easily transitionable. So yeah, cool. We're coming up. We're at the top of the hour. I didn't even hit everyone on the list. So I guess we'll go 2 more people real quick. Guillermo, did you have anything for today? I'm gonna hit my two core community guys here. I mean, there's more people here, but
Hi, Robert.
No, actually, I was listening to numerous things. Just a comment. I finished the Linux Bible that you mentioned. You recommended. So I think I'm dangerous enough now with it. Now
You read that fast.
Everybody who is a Linux fan may have a bucket in case they want to throw up. But to me, it feels like going back to MS-DOS. But no offense, but in a sense, it's more easy than I thought to learn and move around. Next step, I'm buying a couple of books on Linux development and especially device driver development for Linux on embedded systems. So I may have more specific questions if you have people in the audience who work in those fields in the future, near future. So
well, you got several people on the call right now that do that. There's Daniel, definitely. Carl, definitely. I think Carl just dropped. But yeah, there's Mad Dog's huge Linux guy, right? So there's a bunch of people on here.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyway, it's I have many things going on, and that is on my to-do list for this year to get up to speed with Linux.
Cool. Yeah, you beat me. I think I'm still only a quarter into it, into the book. Like I haven't. She started months after me too.
I would say the first few chapters are the most interesting. I think the others are kind of like to big system administrations that out of my scope. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you for sharing. Appreciate that. That was one of my recommendations for the Christmas episode with Mad Dog was the Linux Bible and Cards Against Humanity. Those are my two Christmas gift recommendations. Anyways,
to Hong Kong, right?
I'll bring it to Hong Kong. We'll play. Yeah. Cool. Now, one more person before, and I wish I could, touch on everyone, but one more person. John Mark, what you got for us?
Hello, everybody. Yes, I just have a question. You remember for the Coursera, you guys already started to look at this course, but I have a very strange thing. One page say I'm already enrolled, but he's talking about something on 2016. And when I'm trying to open a page, he's asking me to enroll, and I cannot go without enrolling. So that's why I'm asking you, can you give me an access or not?
Yeah, so I sent an email already out to Coursera, to our rep at Coursera, and one of our university reps. And so what I'm trying to get you goes beyond just access. It's a mentorship. So you're going to have somewhat of admin abilities, right? You'll get to view the course, but you'll also have kind of like a teacher's assistant tag, right? So that's.
I will be pleased to check it, and I will give you some feedback, obviously. But I don't really want to enroll. So, and if I can enroll only for 7 days, I won't be able to make the full course in 7 days. So.
Yeah. So my goal is to get you. I mean, John Mark, you've been around the block on this course, and we would really like your feedback and your help on this. So definitely, I'm just waiting for them to answer with the whole course launch. I don't know. Yeah.
I will wait. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Hopefully by next week we should have some answers.
I also noticed on the forum that everybody is looking for a new Android. So I think these guys should push something, because it's coming very often on the forum now, and so to have some decent Android as they ask for.
Is Amit also in the call right now?
Amit Pundir is here.
Yeah, he is. So hopefully soon we will have a decent Android on Dragon board. Works, it's being done.
Hey Amit, so John Mark is an Android user for the Dragon Board 410C, and ever since kind of Qualcomm stopped supporting the custom Android images that they used to use, it's kind of gone stale. So I don't know if you have any any insight on what might be happening around the Dragonboard 410C and new Android images?
I have experimental tree, which I use for personal debugging and everything. So if he is interested, I can share the images or I can share the instructions how to build them. But these are unofficial images, and these are, I mean, I cannot take guarantee of those images. These are mostly debug images.
Yeah,
I don't want to spend time building a kernel. I don't have time. Now I'm developing on Linux anyway. Now I'm using Node.js, and I'm doing the same project as I made on Android. I'm doing it on Node.js now. So I'm controlling Bluetooth 4B sensors, and maybe this will end up as a project very soon. But I will have to make it clean and. But anyway, I still see that a lot of people are looking for Android, and I think it should be a good things to do anyway, to finish one day.
I tread carefully with those topics because there's an element of one end going up, the other end going down. So the newer AOSP-based images that are coming out differ from those that have come before quite sharply. So do you want to speak, Amit?
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to say, that the images which I have, they are not fully enabled. I mean, there are certain features which will not be enabled on those images, and those are pure AOSP images. Those are not released, I mean, official releases from Qualcomm as such. Those are
this is the stuff with the Rob Herring upstream kernel, isn't it? Just to make sure I don't explain the wrong thing.
Yes, that one.
So the essence of these images is they move on from the Qualcomm 318 kernel and are based on roughly the same kernel that the Debian and Open Embedded images use. There's a different compile to get all the different Android features enabled, but essentially the kernel is the same one that the landing team use, and so therefore has the same pros and cons that the landing team one does. The main one is that there's almost no power management beyond the CPU. So it won't hibernate, it won't sleep, so you wouldn't want to leave it on in a car, for example, because it would consume too much power. And the other is that it's based on open source graphics stack, which makes one of the reasons it makes it easy to integrate, although there are still, I think, some rough edges being knocked off the hardware composer that you have to use to make that work. I haven't actually touched this, so I don't know how the hardware composer sits at the moment. But for example, the images broke for a long time after Oreo came out, because although the hardware composer worked on Nougat, it didn't work on Oreo. And I know that among Amit's team there is work happening to try and solve those things. But these images will always remain like that. They will be modern, but these issues will not be solved and done. That's just the nature of these images. They're being built for testing purposes, so that new features can be tested. They're not being built to commercialize the Android on them.
Cool. Yeah, so
one thing Jean-Marc mentioned in one of the previous episodes was that the UART wasn't working in the original Android image, and I think
that was one of the biggest things that he wanted.
Yeah, so I think in this one both the UARTs work fine. I haven't tested it, but they should.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
They both work fine, Jean-Marc. No, but I mean, I think the ultimate goal, like regardless of all of these, custom images coming from Qualcomm or custom images coming from, whatever said developer, the ultimate goal, I think, should be getting the Dragonboard 410C into AOSP, right? Because then it just works, right? I mean, that's shouldn't that be the ultimate goal? Anyways, I mean, of course, there's always going to be custom images out there, but yeah. So we'll just kind of keep touching on this. It's a topic that's I don't personally use Android, but throughout hackathons, throughout working with many people, some people really want to use this, and they want access to Android and peripherals to manipulate or receive input from the environment, right? So like similar to just say like, oh, hook up to your cell phone, run Android on your cell phone, but it's not the same, right? So like there's people who have actually made some really cool stuff running Android back when it was maintained properly. The old Qualcomm images that were maintained very well, they were able to use them for some pretty cool stuff. Now, nowadays it's getting tougher with those images, but yeah.
Robert, do we have a comment?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, as if people are still talking and hanging out, we can keep recording.
Okay.
So yeah, and we'll cut it out after this one though, I guess.
I would like to chime on David's comment. He mentioned Docker, and I totally agree with it. I'm getting ready for my presentation at the Orlando Code Camp about Azure IoT Edge, and it's using Docker. So I think it would be essential to really embrace Docker and provide write-ups and little tutorials how to access the different ports or services like Bluetooth or other services from within a Docker container. Right now, I'm focusing on .NET Core because that's C#. But obviously, because it's Docker, it can run in any other languages. So that's you're not limited to only C, C++, or other stuff that the core operating system provides. So that's all. I'm just wanting to mention that it would be really essential going forward. And it doesn't matter, is it going to be Azure IoT Edge or the Greenfield or what is the AWS? They all going for the Docker container technology, obviously. So this knowledge would be transferable and easily, because we don't want to to just one type of vendor. That's all right. Say.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard good and bad things about containerizing everything. Granted, that's a topic in its own, but maybe we could discuss that more in depth in another episode. Just getting people's inputs, because I mean, there's times where I've talked to people about containerizing things, and there's been a lot of back and forth, right? Where I can't cover everything that's been talked about, but I'm sure that there's several people on the call that would have their input taken. So yeah, we'll talk about that maybe in another episode. We'll get more in depth on containers. And someone who would be really good to talk about this is maybe getting Bill Fletcher in here. But yeah. All right, cool. So I'm going to close out the recording now. We'll go into after hours. I just want to remind everyone that if you do have IRC, join us throughout the week on hashtag OpenHours, hashtag 96boards. Those are our two channels. You can always go to hashtag Linaro. And as we talked about with Carl Perry, who was on the call, they have hashtag works on ARM. Anyways, there's a million channels out there. Join the ones you like. Hashtag OpenHours, most important. Next thing is that join us next week. We will be here again at 4 p.m. UTC. That time never changes. So for those of you who aren't familiar, UTC time zone is always the same. There is no fluctuation, plus 1 hour, minus 1 hour throughout the year. It's always 4 p.m. UTC. Our time in my time in San Diego, times across the world, they all change back and forth. Some don't change, but UTC is always 4 p.m. The countdown is at OpenHours or 96boards.org/OpenHours. The countdown resets every week. Let me just get that up here. Copy. You can follow the countdown right there, and the description should update every week. I didn't update it this week by accident, so yeah. Anyways, next week, see you there. Thank you very much. Recording out. Just give it a second while we turn off our Facebook and our YouTube streams. See you next time.
Recording has stopped.
That's the recording. Facebook's still on. We're turning Facebook off now. You can go ahead and shut down YouTube as well, Sahaj. Thank you.
All right.